I'm willing to bet that if you're a car enthusiast that you have a dream car. Well, I have 10. How's it going, everybody? Dom for Formal Debut here. And on today's episode of Sunday Drive, we are going to talk about the top 10 cars that I have to own before I die. I've hinted at this list a little bit in past videos, talking about the Shelby and talking about all kinds of other things. So today I'm actually going to give you the full list. As I've stated in a couple other videos, when I was exiting high school, I really needed some direction. So I needed to pick a career path, and I needed to pick a long-term goal that I could actually apply myself and put a lot of hard work into actually achieving. These 10 cars are cars for me that have been a huge part of my upbringing, a huge part of my growing up, and just seeing these cars and absolutely loving them. I've loved cars since I was little, and so these are the 10 that I could curate together to actually be the perfect automotive portfolio for me personally. So I'm not going to waste any more of you guys' time. Let's go ahead and get into the list. All right, so these cars are in no particular order. I don't have a favorite or a least favorite of all of them. There are probably some that I prefer over others. We're going to knock the obvious one right off the list, right off the bat, and that is the 2016 through 2020 Shelby GT350. Now, obviously, this is the car that I currently own. This is a 2016 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350. So I have been so happy in the past almost 3 months of ownership of being able to have knocked one car off of this list and dropping this list down to 9 cars. Now, the Shelby GT350, as I go through here, I'm going to tell a little bit about the car and kind of why I like it. The Shelby GT350 for me was just at the time, it was the ultimate S550 Mustang. I really liked the S550 Mustang when it came out. However, I was a little bit like everybody else when it came out. The initial design wasn't as exciting as everybody thought it was going to be. But when the GT350 came out, it really enhanced on that look of the regular S550 Mustang, as well as having the insane track performance, as well as the insane engine performance with that 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 with a flat plane crank that revs to 8,200 RPM. So for me, it was just always a very exciting car and a very special car. So that's why it made the list. And if you want to hear more about this car, check my channel. I have made a ton of videos so far about this car. I am absolutely loving this car, and I'm very happy to have knocked one car off the list. So let's move on to the next one. The next car on the list is going to be the 2003 through 2005 Dodge Viper SRT10. This is the third generation Viper with the 8.3 liter V10. This is one of those cars that I did just see growing up on TV and movies that, for me, just something about it was really, really exciting. I think the design is fantastic. I know a lot of people don't like the third gen Vipers. For me, the Viper has just always represented that very raw driving experience. No assists, no nannies to help you out. It's just been always very pure driving experience, and always something that was just so uncompromised and unapologetically, a driver's car. A very exciting prospect for me to own. Now, I did get a chance to drive a third-gen Viper a few years ago, and it was honestly one of the greatest days of my life. This has been a dream car for me since I was very, very young. And so I was very excited to drive it. So that is number 2 on the list. So the number 3 car on the list, we're looking at a 2012 to 2013 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. The ZL1 for me has just always been, it's been the Shelby of Chevy. When it comes to the Camaro, you have the base V6 Camaro, you have the SS, and then you have the ZL1. This is the 5th generation ZL1 with the 6.2 liter supercharged LSA V8. But I always thought the styling of that car was absolutely perfect. A really simple take on the Camaro that was just a little bit more special than the SS, but just a really classic, timeless design. That LSA V8 pumps out a ton of power, 580 horsepower, and just a really, really exciting package. So that is number 3 on the list. Number 4 on the list is 2009, I would say till around 2011, C6 Corvette ZR1. This is the big daddy of the C6 Corvette, the LS9 supercharged V8, 638 horsepower. Just an absolute animal, just an insane car. Now, I know that since the C8 ZR1 has been, announced, the C7 ZR1 was an incredibly good car. Those have kind of stolen the spotlight. But the C6 for me was always just something that wasn't bogged down with, technology too much as the newer cars were. They had that really basic Chevy interior. Everyone makes fun of it because it's got the steering wheel out of a Cobalt. I've always loved the C6 Corvettes. I think the C6 Corvettes are some of the best. I think it's the best generation of Corvette currently built to date. I love C6 Vets. So that would be the one Corvette on the list, the 2009 to 2011 C6 Corvette ZR1. All right, next car is going to be the 2003 to 2004 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. Better known as the Terminator Cobra. I think it was probably around 7 or 8 is when I really was able to actually get in and ride in my first New Edge Mustang. And as a small child, I thought it was really cool. The New Edge Mustang for me has always held a special place. And I did for a very short period of time own a 2003 Mustang GT. So I have had a New Edge Mustang, and for me the Cobra was always just that pinnacle of the Mustang in that generation. The 2-valve engines that were in the GT were criticized for their lack of horsepower, lack of power building potential. Ford solved all that with the 4-valve Cobra engine that was also in the Mach 1, but the Cobra had a supercharger bolted to it. It made 390 horsepower rated from the factory. So they were just really cool, and I think that they have the most menacing, mean stance that you would ever see on a Mustang in that generation. So the 2003-2004 Mustang Cobra is definitely one to make the list. All right, next one is the 2013 to 2014 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. Now, this is the S197 generation of the GT500. And this is the one with the Trinity 5.8 liter supercharged V8. It made 662 horsepower. You can kind of see a little bit of a trend in the model years here. It's cars either from the early to mid 2000s or the mid 2010s. Because the early to mid 2000s is when I was a young child, and then the mid 2010s is around when I started to. I got my driver's license and started actually driving and started having to think about life and kind of what I wanted to do with my life. When it came out, it was just an absolute monster. I mean, with 662 horsepower, I believe it was the most powerful American car at the time, soon to be bested the following year by the Hellcat in 2015 when Dodge released the Hellcat. But it was just an absolutely insane car. It made insane power. It was the first Mustang to hit 200 miles an hour. Just a really special car, and another Shelby to be on the list. The third car on this list to have a Cobra badge on it. So that would be the 2013-2014 Shelby GT500. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is a car I just mentioned, and that's going to be the 2015 to 2017 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat, and that is the one with the manual transmission. When the Hellcat came out, it absolutely blew me away. This was the first year that Dodge had redesigned the Challenger, had given it its little facelift, and to me it looked really good. And of course it had that 6.2 liter supercharged V8 that made 707 horsepower. It was a huge accomplishment for that first American muscle car to hit 700 horsepower, and it just did incredibly well. The hype around it was insane. I know in the past few years they've gotten a little bit of flack, issues with theft and the takeovers and all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me. I have always wanted a Hellcat since the day they came out. I just thought they were super exciting. I've been lucky to be able to be behind the wheel of quite a few Hellcats over the years, and every time I drive one, I'm just like, it's impossible for me to do a full throttle acceleration at a Hellcat and then not have a smile on my face. They're just incredibly fast. They're incredibly insane. The supercharger whine is just absolutely crazy. They're absolutely awesome cars. So that is the 2015 to 2017 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. All right, now the last 3 cars on the list, we've gotten through 7. The last 3 cars on the list are all 3 from the same brand. And if you have seen my left arm, you probably know what brand has been left out so far. So let's get into number 7. And that is going to be the 1999 to 2002 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am WS6 or Firehawk. I grew up loving Pontiac. They were an incredibly exciting brand for me. They have a lot of sentimental value to me due to family. The WS6 Trans Am, the 4th gen F-body platform, GM platform, just absolutely awesome. I really, really prefer it over the Camaro body style. The insane Ram Air hood, the insane proportions, the insane wing, the Ram Air scoop, the last of a breed when it came to the Firebird. That was 2002 was the last year of the Firebird to ever exist. So just to have the last of that heritage would be really, really exciting. All right, car number 9 is the 2009 Pontiac G8 GXP. Now this is a very similar reasoning to the Firebird, is that the absolute last of the breed. It was the very last performance car that Pontiac ever made before going out of business in early 2010. The G8 was the last performance car, and the GXP was the ultimate version of it. LS3 V8, it was the only one available with a manual transmission, and they are going for some serious money now. They're very, very rare. They only made a small handful of them, and they were only a single-year car. So just like the Firebird was the last of the breed for the Firebird, the G8 GXP was the last performance car ever made by Pontiac, and that is super exciting, and it's something I've always wanted to have. Now, the final car on the list, I would have to say, is my first ever dream car. It was the first car that I ever can remember wanting. So the last car is the 2005 to 2006 Pontiac GTO. That is the 6-liter GTO with the LS2. Now, this one does have a little bit of a story, because I can actually, unlike the rest of the cars, I can remember the very moment that I first ever saw one and that I really wanted it. It was 2004. It was the year that the car actually came out, that it debuted. The new generation GTO ran from 2004 to 2006. In 2004, it had the LS1. In 2005 and 2006, it had the LS2. But in 2004, I would have been 6 years old, and I was at a car show with my grandfather, and it was at a Pontiac dealership, and that was the first year that they had actually rolled out the GTO. And so the first one that I ever saw was a 2004 yellow jacket Pontiac GTO, and I saw it from all the way across the parking lot, and I absolutely lost my mind. For some reason, it just stuck in my head. I just loved how it looked as a young 6-year-old child, and it has stuck with me ever since. And it's those moments, and I wanted to end on this one because it's those sentimental moments with people that really make a dream car. Family members and friends, and just all the really fun memories that you have of things. Those are the kind of things that make a dream car a dream car. So that is my top 10 list. Let me know what you guys think about it. I really want to hear what your guys' dream cars are, so please leave them down in the comments. And so I have a long road ahead of me to own 10 of my dream cars. With enough hard work and determination, I will absolutely make it happen. If you like this video, go down and hit the like, hit the share button, tell your friends. If you want to see more content like this, go down and hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you get notified when we post a new video. If you're looking for car detailing products and tools, head on over to Formal Debut Shop at formaldebushop.com. The link will be in the description. And as always, for Formal Debut Detailing, my name is Dom, and I'll see you guys on the next one.